Today I am going to be interviewing the Ecom King. Let's go. Hey guys, it's Ricky Hayes here. Just before we get into this interview, which is super exciting, a few housekeeping rules. One, my camera had some issues that day, so I apologize if there's some flickering. I have since addressed that problem. Secondly, with the audio as well, I have tried to make it as good as possible, but I apologize if it's not on point. But aside from that, I just wanted to get straight into today's video. It's a long, special video that I'm sure you're going to love. It gives out a huge amount of value. It is 100% live, okay? Nothing is cut. I wanted to make it very authentic, and that's the way that Kamil, my good friend, the Ecom King, wanted it as well. Without further ado anyway, let's just jump into this awesome interview. Hey everyone, it's Ricky Hayes here with a special video today with the Ecom King, a good friend of mine. It's a pleasure to have you here on my channel. Introduce yourself, mate.
Thank you for having me on the channel.
Yeah, so tell me a bit more about yourself and what you do and what you've achieved for your students and yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Kamil Sattar. I was born in 1999, which makes me 20 years old, so I'm very young in the game. I started around about 5 years ago when I just dropped out of college, and I got into buying and reselling, buying high-end brands, reselling them online, flipping and making a couple $100s. And then I built a decent amount of cash flow, and then I wanted to scale it. And the buying and reselling industry, you can't really scale it that much. So I was looking for business opportunities where you can scale them online, and I came across dropshipping, Amazon FBA, affiliate marketing, and dropshipping really caught my eye, so I kind of got into it. This was back in 2017, just the start of 2017. And I invested roughly around about £2,000 to £3,000 into it. Didn't make any money, lost it all. Took a few courses, they were a waste of money. Didn't really give me any real knowledge. And then I found a mentor, invested into him, and then 6 to 8 months after, then that's when I started really reaping the rewards. And then in 2018, that's when I actually made my first $1 million in revenue. And now in 2019, that's when I actually became a mentor, and then running more I was also doing other stores as well, and then branded stores as well, and my own private label stores with the mentorship as well. And then in that year, we did really, really well. And now in 2020, I run 4 stores, 2 of them are private label, and then I've got 1 which is a high-end fashion store. And now I also run a successful mentorship company as well.
Yeah, keeping you busy by the sounds of it.
It's really, really busy, really busy. Haven't really got any much time for myself at the moment, but it's not a bad thing, I'd say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, running 4 stores would be pretty full on. I know the sort of feeling. It's pretty difficult, especially when you're trying to provide a great experience and build a private label as well.
VAs are pretty much covering everything but the Facebook ads at the moment. Like, I never hire VAs to do Facebook ads. I always make sure I do them.
Yeah, it's a difficult skill to outsource, isn't it? And that sort of
one of those ones where you just can't outsource it. It'll just lose too much money to outsource. So I've never wanted to do it.
And truthfully as well, like most agencies don't provide as good services that they promote to do as well. So
oh my God, honestly, the amount of agencies that you get that email you saying we'll run your ads for you, and stuff like that. And honestly, you can just tell straight away, like they're just. And I know agency owners as well, and they always say to me, e-commerce clients are the hardest ones to get results for, because it is so hard to obviously get an ROI and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always said to people, at the end of the day, you can always outsource to an agency, but you're always going to outsource to a good agency if you have the skills yourself. And
of course, you can't outsource to an agency unless you know the game yourself, because you won't know if it's a good service. When they talk to you about numbers, you won't understand the numbers they're telling you about. So you can't really outsource. Like, the only companies that should really outsource are ones that are doing a good amount in revenue every single month and making good profits. Then they can outsource, of course. But if you're just a startup, there's just no. Yeah,
well, that's actually a good question as well. Like, so you would say to everyone that's starting out, that's beginner, intermediate, to slowly growing their business, that you would suggest that they should just do it all themselves, don't outsource, learn the skills and then outsource it when their business is at a higher level?
Oh yeah, once you've got a successful e-commerce store and you've got, because honestly, this is from my knowledge, and I know a lot of successful agency owners in the UK and London. And if you're not willing to pay at least, and I know it sounds crazy, at least £8,000, which is around about $10,000 for an agency for e-commerce brands, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are expensive, the agencies that you have to work with to get good results, but oh my God, if you do work with these good ones, they're crazy what they do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, like my experience that because it's a 24/7 thing. Facebook ads is not something that you sort of leave and leave and walk away. It's the worst thing about it.
Even when you set up the automations, they don't really work that well.
Well, see, I find that automations for me work pretty well. I use Magix. Have you used Magix by chance?
Never heard, not really heard of them. I've used Campaign Labs. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah, I've heard of Campaign Labs, but Magix...
I'll be honest with you, they're not very good. Their recommendations are pretty crap.
Yeah, see, Magix doesn't really do that. It's like, have a look. It's Madgix. You might, you and your students may be interested anyway, but I'll get back to what I was... So in relation to your mentoring and that then as well, it's like, give me a bit of a detail about that. I've had, see mentoring and you've... What results have you sort of gotten for your students with your mentoring?
Yeah, so at the moment we've taught around about, we're hitting roughly 150, we've hit around about 150 students at the moment we've taught since we started. So I started the company on my own and then it grew really fast. So I had to outsource other people to help me teach. Now all the people that teach in the company are all my old students that have done at least 6 figures with a 25% profit margin. That then requires them to be able to teach in the company. But in terms of results we got for students, we're literally just touching the edge of doing $30 million in revenue in terms of the whole students. That's excluding me, that's excluding the gents. In terms of student revenue, it's almost at 13 million, which is absolutely insane, because I think something that I'm going to say is I do get a lot of big companies that come to me for mentoring. Mm-hmm. So that's why the revenue for students is so high, is because we've been working with companies that are already doing 7 figures a year. So to get them an extra couple of million is, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm sure you can agree with me, Ricky, when you're teaching a big company that's making a lot of money, it's not, I know it sounds crazy, it's not that hard to make them an extra 100,000.
No, it's not.
They've got everything they need.
No, I agree entirely. And you know what's funny? And I should just ask you this question anyway. I'm assuming that a lot of these big companies, like I've worked with some larger ones, but I'm assuming not as large as yourself in that regard. But that most of these companies obviously do a very good job of whatever the heck they're doing, but they're actually not that good at marketing. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I had a woman that came to me who's running a successful women's fashion company, and it's so successful. And she said to me, Cam, I'm doing these CBOs, the budget's on 1,000 a day, and I'm thinking, what? Don't get me wrong, that's good. And then I was asking her, how do you manage them and stuff like that? And when she told me, I was like, oh my God. She's made, the crazy thing is she's making money, but if she just monitored them a lot better, managed them a lot better, her ROAS would be so much more profitable, but it's just crazy.
It's always funny. Like, I see that every time myself, is like, there's so many successful people out there, and I mean, hats off to each and every one of them, but it's where always that the saying of you really need to educate yourself, and the amount more money I'm assuming she made just from, whatever the length of that call / mentoring was. I always find it very interesting, because I personally used to work in a large Australian-based company, and I wasn't in the marketing division or anything. My friend was, and he said that the company was making amazing money, but their marketing strategy was shit. And he said that the only reason they were making so much money is just because they'd been around for so damn long. People just went to them anyway. And I always just find that a funny little conundrum. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one, sorry. So you said you taught 150 students, and that's combined between yourself and your...
We're on around about 150. I might be wrong. It might be even more than that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we taught quite a lot of students at the moment. But we don't take... See, the thing with us, and this is what... People might think, oh, why have you only taught 150 if you've been doing it now for 2 years, the mentorship? It's because we only take on a certain amount of people a month. Now, a lot of other mentors will take on as many as they can. Mm-hmm. The bad thing about that is the quality of your service will drop, because you're trying to teach everybody. So the time you've got for people is a lot smaller. And a lot of these other mentors outsource VAs to teach their students. Like when you come to us, you learn from us, nobody else. That's why we only teach a small amount of people at one certain time, because if we don't, then we know the service. Because out of every 5 students we teach, 2.5 to 3 of them will do very well, and the other 2 won't do as well. And that's because they just weren't made to do e-commerce, they weren't made to do dropshipping, because they just didn't have the mindset. But that's why we've got such a high success rate, is because it's all about quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard a lot of stories of, for instance, people, I don't know, whatever channel, I can't remember. But anyway, just getting people on Discord and doing this sort of group mentoring thing, or these huge Zoom calls where they're just talking about stuff that's not really even helpful. I've never understood that myself. I've helped a number of people myself in this space. It's one thing that's baffled me is that you're right, quality is the most important thing, especially when people are paying quite a premium too. I really, really dislike that, and that's why obviously you have such high success rates. So how long is that for? Like, how long does your
I'll talk about the mentorship quickly. It's a 1 month mentorship, and you can extend it to however long you want, but normally 90% of people can get the job done in 1 month. Now you're probably thinking a month, that's it, but the month is very intense. Think of it like a crash course. It's a call every other day, but you are allowed to call again on the same date if it's an urgent problem. And the calls will last between 30 and 90 minutes, and they're screen recorded, and you can also record them at the same time, so you can watch them back, which is what we recommend. And in between calls, if you've got any questions or you want to send us a voice note, you can send them through iMessage, WhatsApp, whatever you want. And we take you from start to finish. So if you've never built a store before, or if you've never picked products, we help you with that. We also give you tools that are for free that you can use, so you don't even have to pay for any tools. You get them all for free. So you get taught how to pick the products. You also add the mentor to your Shopify admin page, so they can make sure that everything's been done correctly. There's no problems. And then we build the store with you. We help you get the apps, apply the apps correctly, make sure they've been optimized correctly. And then we spend the majority of the time, 3 weeks, on Facebook ads, because that is the hardest part. And a lot of people will say, the hardest part is finding a product. It's not that bit that's the hard part. It's the Facebook ads, managing them, understanding them. That's the bit that we really spend the majority of our time on. And then after a month, if you get your head down and you really spend at least 1 to 3 hours a day on doing this, you'll know the whole graph pretty well. You won't need any more in training.
Yeah, well, once you sort of get to that point with Facebook ads, it's all pretty rinse and repeat, isn't it?
As you know, Facebook ads is very repetitive.
Boring.
How it works. It's just plug and play. Of course, you've got things like Google ads, YouTube ads that are a little bit more, you have to spread yourself a little bit more wider because there's a lot more in there to do. But with Facebook ads, if you can crack it and you get to understand what everything means and how it works and when to use it, it's, as you know, it gets very repetitive, quite boring, and whatnot.
So on that note then, so you sort of said about the store and apps and that, what are the sort of apps and that you recommend for your students to set up for their stores?
100%. So the apps I'd recommend for everybody is SMS Bump, without a doubt. It's free. You just have to top it up with credit. It's just
great app.
Make you a ton of money. Klaviyo, 100%. Best Currency Converter Pro, all day, every day. Tido Live Chat's another one. I love live chats on my website, especially if you set the automations up correctly. You can actually make a lot of money from them.
Tido.
Tido Live Chat is Tido and then Live Chat.
Okay.
It's my favorite live chat. It's free. It's got a free option, which is amazing, and the paid option is a lot more better. As long as you've got a hefty amount of traffic coming onto your site, it can work magic. Honestly, magic. Apart from that, though, I don't use any other app because all my students use Debutify and they go for the Guru plan. And with the Guru plan, it gives you things like sticky ads to cart, countdown timers. So really, we don't need any other apps apart from those ones because Debutify just does everything for us.
I just want to bring up, like, with SMS Bump, like, oh God, that app is, it's just, like, I presume you mainly use it for your students and that for the abandonment recovery as well?
Abandoned cart recovery, product upsell, customer win back.
Yeah.
Those ones are the ones that we really do emphasize on.
It always gets great results there, doesn't it? So
I don't know what it is. It's just text message marketing has a 97% open rate, and it just works. I just feel like
because it has no, the phones don't have a spam filter for SMS. It has, and it just seems that, like, it's one of those things that people just always open because it's so personalized to people, which I find quite interesting too.
I love it. I know you use SMS Bump a lot, and I know you've had some great results with it as well.
Nearly everyone does, let's be honest. Anyway, but
you know what? Even if you just use the templates they give you, they just work.
Yeah. For me, 90%, I don't know what's with my camera, but 90 to 95% of my sales with SMS Bump come from the first text message, which is...
the first one you send out, the first abandoned cart recovery, the first upsell text message, it just does it. I don't know what it is.
And it's funny, with email for me, it's generally my second or third that does the best, but with SMS, But I wanted to touch on the other topic anyway. You sort of said about Facebook ads, and you said you did it you generally do it for 3 weeks. So what would you say would be the most important thing that a beginner should be keeping in mind when they're venturing into Facebook ads? Like for us, we find Facebook ads very, because we've gone through it, we find it very simple now. But for a beginner, what would you say would be the number one thing to look out for there?
Yeah, with Facebook ads, I think the main principle is understanding what everything does and how it works and what feature works. Because when I get beginners, like I got off a consultation call yesterday with a guy, and he was rabbiting on for like 15 minutes about how he set up his campaigns. I'm thinking, it's with Facebook, they give you loads of buttons to play with, so people just play with all the different buttons they give you. And it's just simply follow the same strategy. Like, when you're testing a product, just go with purchase conversion. Don't play with anything else. Unless you're doing retargeting, unless you're doing lookalike audiences, don't touch anything else. Just go with conversion. Do CBO. Don't do all campaigns anymore. Facebook don't like them. They don't really optimize them as well, personally, for me.
Yeah, I understand.
Just stick to CBO campaigns. And with Facebook, in terms of doing it, understand what the metrics mean. Now, there are a lot of metrics like CPM, CPCs, CTRs, but understand the ones that really matter. And in my opinion, the ones that really only matter are your CPMs, your CPCs, your CTRs, your quality ranking, your ads carts, your initiate checkouts, and your purchases. Anything else, personally, I don't really care for.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up that brings up an interesting thing that I'm assuming you've got this many times and I have too, is a lot of people say, oh, but I'm getting a lot of engagement. And what would you say to people that think that engagement is more important than, let's say, a purchase?
Yeah, that's funny, because I had the same guy yesterday said, I'm getting loads of impressions, loads of engagement.
Yeah.
It's going to do successful. And I'm like, dude, they're the two ones that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like the barrier to entry for me is CPMs. Like even CPMs, I don't really care for. If my CPMs are $30, but I'm still making a ROAS of 2.5. Why does it matter?
Yeah. So when you start out Facebook ads, what's your recommended budget to people when they start out Facebook ads?
If you're on a low budget, like you can start with $30 on a CBO, you can do it. Honestly, I get like 5 people a day on my Instagram message me saying, Cam, I've done your low budget CBO strategy. I've done 170 orders after a week. It works. As long as your pricing is between $14.99 and $24.99, you can do $30 a day. Anything over that, the lowest you can go is $50 a day.
Yeah.
You can get some great results as long as you're doing your ad sets correctly and you're doing between 5 or 10. Anything over 5 or 10 and you're spending $50 is just.
So one of the questions that I'm sure both of us we get asked this a lot is, what is your definition of a winning product? I always get curious about that one.
Yeah, I think I know it's a funny question. Now I don't ever sit now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, there's no such thing as a winning product, but there's products that hatch a lot earlier. So you might spend $500 on a product and it might show insane results. But then there might be another product where you have to spend $2,000 on, but then it will show great results. So different products have different amounts that you have to spend on it to see its actual success. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I know a lot of guys that do 7 figures of dropshipping. Some of them are okay with splashing $5,000 on a product, and they don't care if it doesn't do well. But there's sometimes when they splash $5,000 on a product, it doesn't even make any money, but then after that, it does some insane numbers. So I think there's no, like I said, it's all about early hatching products. A lot of dropshippers are looking for products that will show success. We're spending the least amount of money. Now, in terms of a winning product, I think a product that can get in the testing phase, the first week of you doing Facebook ads, 3 to 7 sales a day consistently is a good ratio. Yeah,
that's sort of what I look for a bit too. And it's always an interesting thing. A lot of people say, oh, why can't I start making sales on a $5 budget? And it's just like, that just doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work. People need to understand that Facebook's a bidding system. So, and if you're testing a super saturated product, you got to think about how high the bids are for that product. So it's just like, you're never going to crack it with $5.
So when you look at defining a winning product, let's say you haven't gotten any sales and you said that 3 to 7. Generally for me, I look at about 3 to 5 too, so very similar to yourself. What metrics do you look for? Like, let's say you've spent, hypothetically, just a quick question, let's say you've spent $100, $150 and you're not sure what to do. Am I going on the right path? What do you look for before you say, this is not worth my time, or no, I should keep going ahead and spend some more money?
Normally, and I'm happy you brought that up because it's a very good question. Normally, I'll be, for students, I'm okay with them spending $300 and not to get any real successful results or sales. But what we look at within that $300 that's being spent is how many add to carts have you got? How many initiate checkouts have you got? If you're not getting at least one add to cart every 2 days, then there's a problem. Yeah. Now, if your link clicks are not, if you're not getting 5 to 10 link clicks a day, there's a problem. If your CPCs are above $1.50, there's a problem. So the number one thing we look for is initiate checkouts and add to carts. If they're high and they're really, really good in terms of numbers, then it could be because the ad's not good, or there's something wrong with the website, or it could be because the traffic is the wrong traffic. They're engaged traffic, but they're just not ready to buy yet, so the retargeting will capture them. So really, me personally, add to carts and initiate checkouts are the ones that I look at. If they're low, we kill the product. If they're high, we carry on. Yeah,
it's pretty logical. Sorry, and there was another question I had. That was it. So I guess one thing I always like to ask is what are the challenges you're seeing in your business right now? I mean, obviously everyone, including myself, with the current virus outbreak is causing effects on everyone to some extent. Outside of that, what sort of challenges are you seeing in your 4 stores from your perspective?
Okay, so the problems I'm having at the moment is conversion rates have slightly, honestly, if you listen to anybody online who tells you the conversion rates are normal, you're going to be fine, they're talking absolute rubbish. Now, conversion rates, look, don't get me wrong, if you're selling fitness products, they're going to be good because people are buying loads of home fitness products.
Yeah.
It's like the best industry at the moment to buy in. But if for example, hypothetically, I'm still doing my one product branded stores, I can't change what's going on with that because I have to sell that stuff. So they have taken a hit because people don't want to go out there and buy these products anymore because they're in a scarcity mindset. So conversion rates for a lot of stores have dropped by between 0.5% all the way up to 1.5% personally, I've found. Now, not just that, but I'm having logistic problems, supplier delays, shipping delays. Now, don't get me wrong, one of my suppliers could send the product out, but when it reaches that country could be funny about it and say, you know what, I'm only prioritizing products that are medical products. So some countries that I'm sending the products to, they get there, but then the country government will say, look, we're not going to get these sent out quickly because we're having to basically put all our medical products at the highest priority. So they'll get into the country, but then the government in that country will stop them from being sent out quickly.
That's out of your control.
Back to customers saying, look, where's my product? But as long as you've got your email marketing and your order confirmation set up correctly, it's fine, but it's just a little bit there where customers ain't happy. Apart from the logistics sides and the conversion sides, there isn't really that much personally that I'm seeing. What about yourself?
Much the same. As I said, my biggest priority has just been making sure that scaling down a bit so that I can have a good quality outcome. Again, at the end of the day, and obviously with fulfillment, I don't want to completely get out of stock and then it just causes a customer service nightmare. Absolutely. As we know.
I'm happy you said, keep an eye on the stock levels because some suppliers are going from 1,000 they've got in stock to only having 3. It's absolutely crazy.
One of the guys in one of the groups I'm in, he uses Beautify and that too. But anyway, he did Google ads, and I think in 3-4 days he started hitting $40,000 days just from Google search. I presume it's in the fitness niche. I don't know, but anyway, and he's been putting updates, and he said the same thing, of course, that he's now encountering a customer service nightmare about getting the product shipped, fulfilled, keeping them updated. And that leads me to, I guess, my next question is, what would be your advice to everyone that's looking to start a business right now with the virus outbreak? What would be your advice there?
Yeah, so good question. Now, I definitely think people should still carry on because what I know has worked in the past is if you can start a business and make it strive through a bad period, then you can be successful no matter what.
Yeah.
There's never a time you can't be successful. So best time to start it is now because you're going to learn the most. But in terms of what will help you get started is make sure that you've got your back end, and I know Ricky emphasizes this crazy amounts. I've got Ricky's course. I know how crazy he goes into depth on back-end optimization. It's insane. Not just that, but on his YouTube channel. You need to make sure that your emails, your order confirmations, automations are all set up so customers are up to date with everything. Not just that, but you need to be using not your typical AliExpress anymore. You need to invest into things like Udroppy, going with one of their paid plans, because you will get faster shipping, you will get better handling, you will get better customer service. If not, you might need to invest into getting an agent. You might need to invest in getting to a fulfillment center. So I would recommend trying to stay away from AliExpress unless they ship from, for example, if you can get an AliExpress file that ships from the United States, only target the United States on Facebook. That way, you're getting fulfilled from the same country, it's going to get sent out. You're not going to have any problems.
I guess what people are...
That's how I'd handle... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. Sorry to interrupt you, but I guess what the counter question to that is, the current way a lot of people see it is, United States, Australia, UK, all of them are pretty competitive markets. My stance is that there's still an infinite number of opportunity in each of those countries. Do you also agree with that?
Oh yeah, I got on a consultation call the other day with a guy, and I forgot what he was selling now. There was two of them doing a partnership store, and I think it was a fitness product. And they said, Cam, we've got an amazing product. It's not oversaturated. It ships from the US, AliExpress. They said that it's the cheapest product they've ever advertised on Facebook. If they're shipping it from the US, they're targeting US only, and it's the cheapest. They're saying they're getting cost per clicks that are 0.20 and 0.30, and they are with a ROAS at the moment that in terms of profit on the store, they're doing 30% profit. So it's crazy. Most people would think, US targeting only, shipping from the US is going to be expensive. They're actually making more money than they ever have before. So
yeah, and that's because
it's really, honestly, it just depends on the industry, the niche, everything. But don't let it put you off.
So on that note then, what challenges do you see in the future with e-commerce just in general? Again, both with the virus and obviously after the virus as well.
Okay, with the virus, it's going to bring a lot more competition. I don't think many people have really looked at it like this. Obviously, people are at home now, quarantined, and they're thinking of things to do to make money online.
They're bored.
So drop shipping is going to get a lot more competitive now because people are going to want to do it because they want to start an online way to make money. So it's going to get a lot more competitive. What else is a virus going to do? Obviously, the longer it goes on, the more chance we've got of getting into a recession, which means people ain't going to want to spend money online. So that's the current kind of virus situation we're in. In terms of e-commerce and dropshipping, without the virus, it's just going to get a lot more competitive. Honestly, the competition is going to get extremely much harder. Things like Facebook ads are only going to be for the big players that haven't got a lot of money. So you're going to have to find things like YouTube ads now. And like a lot of people don't want to use YouTube or Google because they only get taught Facebook on YouTube. Facebook. Yeah. So when another guru like yourself and me say, try YouTube or try TikTok or try something else, they're like, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I personally, I'll be honest with you, I've never tried TikTok. I think I watched I didn't watch all your video, but I watched that one on your TikTok strategy. I've just never personally done it, but it is always quite funny, isn't it, that Google, people are starting to get on board with a bit more, but YouTube is one of the ones where people know about it, but no one seems to be like, hold on, YouTube's nearly the exact same as Facebook. It just has a slightly different strategy as to how you approach it. I always find that a funny conundrum because we spoke earlier and you said the same as me that YouTube actually does very well for you too, doesn't it?
It actually does. It doesn't do better than Facebook as a single, but as an overall, it does better.
Yeah.
In terms of just one, it doesn't. But in terms of an overall structure, it tends to do better.
What would you say, in your opinion, would be the biggest benefit over Google, YouTube, over Facebook, just in your professional opinion?
YouTube is a lot cheaper. That's just straight up. In terms of testing the scale and product, it's just a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. Number two, you've got so much more flexibility in terms of what you can do. Now, normally with Facebook, if you do a video that's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's going to do crap on Facebook. But on YouTube, if you have an ad for 2 or 3 minutes, I know it's crazy, you might think it's long, but it actually tends to do quite well, especially retargeting ones. So I think with YouTube, it gives you more flexibility of what you can really do with a video. Because obviously, YouTube's made for videos, so people don't mind watching videos for a long period of time. So ads can do really well that are normally long. So a lot of people come to me saying, Cam, I don't think 60 seconds is going to cut it for me to explain my product in action, which is fair enough. So with YouTube, you've got 2 to 3 minutes you can easily play with. And the benefit of YouTube is it actually makes people's ads a lot better because you can't do YouTube ads and do the same ad quality you do with Facebook because it just won't work. YouTube is made for professionals that make content on the platform. So if your video doesn't match their kind of quality, then it's not going to do well. So it actually makes you a better advertiser and marketer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be honest, with a lot of mine, that's interesting you say that. Like, I've done 2 to 3 minute YouTube videos for e-commerce, but I generally find that mine are about 1 to 2 minutes, generally is sort of how I get. But it's an interesting thing. I've seen some like absolutely astonishing ones. There was like this men's shaving item, like, pretty sure, or something like that, some shaving item. It was like 6 minutes, and I watched the full thing because I was like, this was such just an amazing video.
Yeah, well, I think I've seen the same ad as you, actually, and it's 6 minutes, but because it's been done so well, people just watch it. And the great thing about watching the whole video is when he comes to do a target, and that, oh my God, it's going to be lethal what you can do with that.
They will be making big bucks from that, and that should be a message that people should take more home is that Facebook ads is great and all, but in my opinion, there's a bigger world than just Facebook ads by far.
I have more trust with YouTube, because with YouTube you can do a full unboxing ad on YouTube, but with Facebook you can't really do that. So to build consumers' trust, it's a lot harder. But I thought with YouTube you can do it a lot better.
Yeah. So my last question to you is, what would be, out of everything, your number one piece of advice to anyone who's starting in this space?
In terms of the current period we're in, or regardless of the current period?
Yeah, sorry, I should have worded that a bit better. Regardless of the period, like, what would be your biggest piece of advice to someone who's looking to start an online business, make it something that's sustainable and long-term for them? What would be your biggest piece of advice there?
The biggest piece of advice, and I know you're going to agree with me here, is don't follow what everybody else is doing. Do reverse psychology, reverse engineering, do the complete opposite. So instead of just relying on Facebook ads, do Facebook ads, YouTube ads, maybe Google ads, do all three. Because you've got to think of it like a table. If you've only got one table leg, it's going to collapse. But if you've got 3 table legs, it's got a better chance of standing up. So I can't emphasize, when you start in this industry, don't just learn Facebook. Because when Facebook crashes and it's offline for a day or 2 days and you can't run any ads, then you're gonna, how many people cry when that happens? How many people that cry?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. Like, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like the internet has died. Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Like I said, the biggest advice is, honestly, learn different markets. Because, honestly, this is my point of view. Marketing is 70% of the success rate in e-commerce. That's my personal opinion. There's no right or wrong. So if you can learn different marketing strategies, don't follow what the typical gurus say, which is do your Facebook ads and try something else. Try YouTube, try Instagram. Honestly, that's what I personally think should be for beginners. And actually, you know what? Another bit of advice is, when you start drop shipping, don't look at it like a hobby. If you treat drop shipping like a hobby, you'll make hobby money. But if you treat it like a real business, you'll make business money. Because I feel like when people see drop shipping, they're like, it's just loads of young kids with Lamborghinis. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of a joke. It's not. This is a real business, and people are making a lot of money from it. But you just have to treat it like a real business. And I feel like people don't do that.
So would you actually say that would be your number one bit of advice? Like, from what I gathered from that, the thing I take most from that is treat it like a business, not like a hobby. Yeah,
100%. Don't treat like some of these idiots with the Lamborghinis are doing, with the rented ones they just jump on in the fake villas they're in and stuff. Don't listen to them, because I can promise you this now, they don't even have a successful dropshipping store. So just don't buy into the fact that it's as simple as opening a store, running some ads, and you're going to be rich.
So on that note, how long would you say, to me, like, just an idea, for me to define that I personally have a successful business in store, is not something that I say is like, a week. It takes months for me, because I want to see that consistency and growth. How long would you say to people would be your definition of when you have a successful business that can last you, your lifetime?
Now, that's a very good question, and there's 2 answers to it depending on how you refer to it. Now, do you mean a typical dropshipping store where you're just selling a trendy product, or you're on about like a private label brand? Which one are you on about?
See, I would actually say the question would be molded into one, because you pretty much generally start as dropshipping and then always move into white label, because that's your approach too, isn't it?
So when I teach students, I always say start with a trendy dropshipping product.
Yeah.
Because they can last for between 6 and 12 months, typically, if they're a very successful one. Now, all the profit you make from that store, let's say you make $20,000 to $30,000 in profit. Now, the better thing that people don't even know about is, once you've got a store that's doing amazing, you can actually sell that store before it dies out, before it starts to decline. Go on Shopify Exchange, sell it, you're going to make an extra 20 grand. So in total, you've got around 40 grand to play with. Then reinvest all that money into building a private label store, then that will last you between 5 and 10 years if you do it correctly.
Yeah, and that's great advice. I love that. I personally, I love the dropshipping model as an entry point. I hate it for long-term sustainability.
Long-term sustain a dropshipping store. Honestly, if you're somebody that's okay with starting a dropshipping store every year, that's cool. But me personally, I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
It's repetitive.
A lot of tiring. It's just the passion for dropshipping stores just dies out when you do them again and again and again. But when you build a brand, it's a different ball game. There's so much love and passion that goes into it.
Yeah, well, it's funny, isn't it? It's like it's your own. It's something of your own, rather than
it's not your own baby. It's weird to explain it. It's like it's hard to explain. Once you're there, you'll understand. But with a dropshipping store, it gives you a bit of happiness. It makes you a decent amount of money. But when you start doing a real private label store, it's a total different pot of fish.
Well, it's interesting. Like, you know, I'm sure you watch a number of other YouTube channels and that too. But the one common thread I always find from people that, and everyone watching this should take that in mind, everyone that starts to see success in their business, 6, 7, whatever, entrepreneur, blah, 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 is one common thing I always find is they always say that you should build your own brand. And, like everyone that's done hundreds of thousands to millions drop shipping always eventually say, build your own brand. Have you noticed that? I always notice that, and I find that a very interesting thing. And that's where, you know, and unfortunately that takes not a month, that doesn't take 2 months, that can take years.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years for you. See, I generally define it as 2 to 3 for me.
See, personally, that I found 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It can be done a lot earlier, but personally, and again, there's no right or wrong answer, it's just down to preference. It's around about 3 to 5 years. But then again, it's how you define success, isn't it?
Exactly.
Success for different people.
Yeah. Everyone's success is different. As long as you're happy at the end of the day, it's the main thing. Well, look, I didn't realize it had been 35 minutes. This has gone so quick. I've really enjoyed this chat. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on this and taking the time as well to have a chat with me today. Really good. I learned a number of things too. Sorry, what was that?
I said thank you for having me on the channel today, man. Like, before we end this show, I just wanted to say people need to take Ricky's channel seriously. Like, I follow a lot of channels, not because I like them, but just because of how much BS being shut out, and it's funny. Now, Ricky is literally one of the only guys on YouTube that actually gives out real quality content. There's no other guy that I know apart from Ricky that really gives out some serious, and it's not just serious stuff, it's unique content. Nobody else is doing it. I don't know anybody else that's doing YouTube ads in depth like you are. So whoever's watching this channel who's a current subscriber, don't take it for granted and show Ricky a lot of appreciation.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's right back at you. Your mentoring program is amazing. I absolutely love seeing the success stories there. You've changed so many lives. And obviously, congratulations with your stores as well. So just wanted to say thank you for taking the time for this. I learned a number of things myself. And I look forward to talking to you more about this. It's a lot of fun. If people want more, just comment that down below about that as well. So again, thank you so much for your time, mate. It's an absolute pleasure. Hey guys, that concludes today's video with the Ecom King. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to like today's video. It really helps with the growth of my channel. Subscribe and comment down below if you have any questions at all. Okay, this is a completely uncut video. I really enjoyed doing this more as a special to give to you guys, because I really respect the work that Kamil does, and he respects the work I do, hand in hand. It was absolutely fantastic, and I took a number of things home from it, and I hope you do too. Okay, we can all learn from each other. We're all in the same space of trying to make us money. At the end of the day, we want to make as much as possible. We should be learning from multiple people. Okay, you know, feeding off each other, getting ideas, and continually learning and evolving. That is the real core of all of this. There is no one set path that is the correct path. I'm not perfect, Kamil's not perfect, no one's perfect, but together as a community, we make each other perfect. Okay, so be sure to support each other. Okay guys, you know, we are in tough times, and that's why I wanted to present this interview to you guys, because I thought you would really enjoy it. Okay, don't forget as well, there's plenty of links down below for free resources and that as well. But aside from that guys, I hope you did enjoy today's video. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope you take care, and goodbye.